6.8, 384. Just forget about the number of rods. You will repeat the same spacing, 150, 150, 150. Every 150, whenever you will require a bar, you will add. Whenever you are crossing that 150, you add a bar. So something like that, you will do this. So I will discuss that in detail. So this is the cantilever with the toe and things like that. You can see that, no, it's like a heel and this is the toe. Yeah, here it is written toe and heel. It's clear. So this is the face of the wall. So this is the toe. Whichever the back side of the wall, uh, back portion which is embedded in the soil, is the heel, and the front part which is facing the road or the development or whatever it is, or the space which is open, that is called the toe. So again, one more drawing. See, this is different. This is kind of bent down like this. Again, this is to maybe the moment flexure moment is higher here, so they have bent down this toe like this. You have okay, I'll give you an example. You might have done this when you are in a very clay, walking on a clayey soil, or when you are playing in the beach. When the water is actually waves are dragging you, you will actually kind of crinkle your toes. You will just kind of hold your toes back so that you are actually digging the soil and you are kind of finding hold in it. I hope you understand what I mean. So something like that, you are holding on to the soil with your toes, something like this. So the toes are bent. So see, all these structural systems are developed from observing nature, how we behave. Everything is very similar. If you look at your hands, if you look at your fingers, look at your shoulder, those are all cantilever structures. And sometimes when you are raising your hand, you are actually doing it against gravity. So all these things are totally possible. So if I ask you to stand with raise your hands above your heads and stand for how many minutes can you stand? No idea. Never tried that. Just humor me, answer my question so that we are actually discussing here, isn't it? Maximum 2 minutes. Yes, I think so. That 2 minutes is also a quite a high number. See, unless you have developed extreme, strength in your arms and your chest and your back muscles to lift your hands, you will not be able to stand for more than that. But I hope in the old storybooks and things like that, you would have seen these sages doing tapas, right? You have seen those images where they'll be actually standing on one leg and both their hands above their head, and praying to God. All these postures are possible only if you have developed your strength in your hands and legs. So similarly, your structural system has to have strength in that particular area. If you wanted to really stand up with your hands raised, you have to develop your shoulder muscles and your chest and back muscles. Similarly, wherever you are expecting this structure has to resist this much of load, gravitational load, and this particular point. So you add strength to it at that point. So this anchor is designed. See, everything is designed nowadays using a software. You just have to calculate and apply the conditions of your soil and what are all the other loads you are expecting. Just feed them into this thing, and then the system actually generates where the load is going to be more. Even you can actually give a normal design to it and then see where it is failing. Just do a normal cantilever structure and then check if it is going to fail here because of this point, add another strengthening to it. So something like this. Yes, this is how you do it, and this is how you will learn. Okay. So this is a picture of cantilever retaining wall for your, just so that you will understand how it looks. A nice, no, neat, and you can see this water running through this part. Someone was talking about flooding and things like that. This is how you will handle such situations. You don't, you just don't interfere with nature, but you try to, go around it, and so that you are accommodating. Your structure is kind of part of it. And do you like this step one? See, the levels are with varying heights of retaining wall. Not necessarily a simple same size one, but this I like this picture, so I just added this to it. But you might find so many other things also. See, nicely they are actually stepped, and the length of the retaining wall is cut according to the slope location. And see, I was actually talking about nailing of retaining walls, right? So this is how the final nailing part will look like, these small holes, about 3 to 4 inches maximum. This is how it is going to look like finally. So I have explained this in detail. So you can actually look at this picture, and now I think you will understand, because this is what that entire slope, the original ground surface. But we cannot do that to our wall along this line due to special constraints as well as the angle of repose. So we wanted to have a straight wall, and we made a straight wall, and we actually nailed the entire retaining wall to the soil and filled it with concrete. And okay, I'll see if I zoom, because see this gray color portion. Reduce it. So this inner gray area is the first one, okay. And the second thing, the second part could be the facing. This is like okay, you've just constructed a retaining wall, but for some reason you wanted to create a pattern like pattern of the that entire city as a landscape one, or you wanted to have a nice concrete mosaic on top of this wall. That can be done. So this is an exaggerated picture. So it is called final facing. Final case facing can be your concrete tiles or mosaics or whatever style. Sometimes in some areas I've seen when I'm driving down the NH, people stick very ugly looking toilet tiles on top of your. You might have seen this, isn't it? Please don't say no. I'm very sure you would have seen all these purplish, bluish, or brownish toilet tiles on top of your sides of the flyer walls, or the bypass road walls. So all these walls can be your final facing. The initial facing is not actually a facing, but it is the core of the retaining wall, which actually holds your anchored. See, these dark lines are the steel rods. I want all of you to have a look at this picture slowly and read and come back and ask me any questions you have. You can just, I would like to explain everything in detail, but it may not be really, it may not be necessary or useful for the entire class. Some people are listening, some people are not bothered. So only if you have any questions, and if you're not able to find it on your own, if something is not very clear on your own, because I have actually tried to draw it and then explain it to you. So if you're not clear, then come back and ask me in the next class. Is that clear? So this is how it is going to look like in a very close up shot, very closely to the soil, close to the soil. I am not purposefully explained, because washers and studs and bearing plates, last class I was talking about them, but okay. Hey, okay, okay. I have not used these words in my class, so you can just search for them. If on your own, if you're able to understand and clarify your doubts yourself, that's good. Or come back next class, we'll discuss. Okay. I want you to look up for these words: shotcreting. Okay, shotcrete or shotcreting. The technology is called shotcreting. You can look up that word. Okay, short. And okay. And next is the strip drain. Okay, okay, find out these words. Strip drains. Okay, vela bars. Okay, tendon is a very common word, so you might have actually have an idea of what we are talking about here. So if not, have a look at it. Okay, tendon grouting, right? I'm hoping. Otherwise, only look at these. Look up for these 5 words: shotcreting, strip rain, availability. Anyway, I'll share the PPT. After that, you have to check. This is how it is going to look like. You can see this. See, this is a soil surface. They have smoothened it out to quite a bit so that a retaining wall can be fixed. And see, this is the rods are anchored, and these are actually, this is how the pressure is applied to your steel rod. Can you see the diameter of the rod? It is not much. Okay, about 40, about 40 mm. Not much in the sense, it's quite a high, bigger size rod. No one uses it for a residential construction or even in a normal construction. This rod is quite a huge size one. And sometimes you can use a bundle of wire. That is called a bundle of wire. You know how a bundle of wire looks like. So you can actually combine about 40 mm rods, 6 number bundle, 8 numbers bundle, something like that. It depending on the situation, not for just soil anchor railing, for anything. So you can make a bundle of your steel rods if you think you need a bigger size bar, because no one is going to manufacture a 10 centimeter dia steel rod. It's going to be very expensive, heavy to lift, heavy to handle it. So you will make bundles of steel wire and use. Okay, I have about few more slides. I'm just going to go through them. If you have any questions, we can discuss. See, this is a section of a simple wall. I've been discussing this again and again, so not much to this. So whether it is a 9-inch external wall or a 4.5-inch internal wall, the wall is going to look like this. If it is an external wall with more than 200 or 300 mm wider walls, due to whatever reason, then you will have reinforcements on both edges. Class, look at this very carefully. You are going to have reinforcement on both edges, meaning 2 layers of reinforcement, and like a column. Okay, 2 layers of reinforcement you will have. Otherwise, you can have just a single layer of reinforcement. That is also possible. Sketch. Okay, the contractor is the structural engineer has said, okay, you need only 1 layer of reinforcement. I'll just actually do this like this. Okay. This is how it is going to look like in elevation, and all rods are tied here, everywhere. Okay, so that they won't move and all. So with the bottom reinforcement, meaning foundation reinforcement, I'm going to erect my rod like this. This thing will be tied here. Okay. With my bottom, as usual, you all know this, right? For how we have done for concreting columns. So this the same way. You will just take this grill work of your reinforcement rods and then put it along with the foundation and then tie them in place. And then you add, put your shuttering. You know shuttering, right? I'm just drawing it very, very ugly, but just bear with me. This is my shuttering, okay? Plywood shuttering, steel shuttering, aluminum shuttering, whatever. And then you pour concrete into this, like, so this is the top of your shuttering. In elevation, I'm drawing this in elevation. This part is in section, okay? This is so this colored parts are the section parts, and then my rods are poking out, and then I'm going to mix concrete and then pour it inside, maybe to whatever level I want, because I have to leave it at an angle, so that if I'm going to continue, see, I cannot just finish the concreting like this. I have to only finish the concreting like this, and make sure the surface is serrated, so that then when tomorrow morning when you're going to continue the work, you will pour the next concrete like this, and the bonding is much better. So the concrete joints are very important. So assume this is the line I'm going to fill my concrete with. I'm just going to pour my concrete here and then use vibrators to vibrate it maximum so that it sets properly. And after setting, the structural engineer will give a note. After 21 days you can remove the shuttering, or after 14 days you can remove the shuttering. So at that time you just remove these two, this dabba from all 3 sides or 4 sides, depending on the wall length. So this is a single layer of reinforcement. Sometimes what happens, because of thickness wall, or for structural reasons, in a worst case situation like your retaining wall, you might have two layers. That is what you are having, two layers of reinforcement. And again, it is tied to the base. Clear? So whether it is if it is an RCC wall, this is the idea. You will just tie the rods to the bottom of the foundation. Or if it is an upper level, you will tie it to the slab, and then you will take it up like a grill work. You will make it straight and then put shutters on all four sides, all three sides, or all two sides, depending on the location of the wall. And then you pour concrete, and then you vibrate it and compact it, and then remove the shuttering once everything is cured properly, settled properly as per the structural drawing. So walls are very simple. So just you are going to make this as a retaining wall by just cutting it, just part of the wall. So the sections are very similar. If you look at the sections, they are not going to be much differing from each other. But understand the idea how to do the reinforcement. Right? Sure. Okay. The last topic, we are coming back to the last topic. Shear walls are okay. Well, okay, let's just talk about shear walls are used. Okay, up to now is clear, isn't it? This is the last topic I'm going to cover, and it's very easy to understand. So, if you have any questions till now, just post it, because I'm going to go to a different concept now. All of you are clear with retaining walls, right? I have not spent much time with external and internal walls because they are not too different or too complicated to understand. But you guys are clear up to this point? So I'll complete this portion by talking about. Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll discuss about a long structure. Okay, imagine. Okay, all of you are going to close your eyes and imagine a very tall structure. Assume about 200 floors. Okay, 200 floors high. Each floor is about 3 meters. Do you think the building will sway in the wind? If there is a high wind load, or a very like your Katrina, they're saying, no, this hurricane will cross this area with 300 kilometers per hour wind speed. Do you think the buildings will get affected by all this wind loads? I, Depends on the frame structure. Yes. No, yeah. What you are saying is a very safe answer, Arun. I'm saying when you say depend on the frame structure, that means the building is being designed for that, isn't it? So if you have taken that into consideration, then it is going to stand. If you are not at all thought about that point, it is going to fail. Yes. So yes, technically, what happens? Any external environmental factors has an impact on your building. If you are foreseeing it, then your building is safe. If you are not foreseeing it, then it is going to hurt. So a normal structure, because of its height itself, imagine when you're going to hold your mobile phone vertically with one hand, it is going to stand because it is much stiffer. But can you do that with an A4 paper? No, it is not possible, because A4 paper is going to swing when you are going to hold it with the one hand, because it is not stiff. So similarly, tall structures, they react, very badly in very high wind and hurricane zones. Similarly, this is the first picture. Okay. See, there are ways. The entire building might sway like a tree. So this is the first picture. I'm showing that. The second picture, depending on the height and the wind velocity, because the wind velocity is higher at higher altitudes and lower near ground levels. So depending on the higher wind velocity, it can actually slide also. Okay, you understand all this, right? When subjected to a lateral load, building might react in all these different ways. It might sway as one structure if everything is tied well together. If all the floors are tied well together, then it is going to sway like one tree, one full tree. Or if they are actually not, then it is going to slide off. Each and every floor is going to slide off differently. What's the situation? They are going to slide off differently, and the shear is going to act at 45 degree, and it is going to crush the floors. That is 3. Am I clear up to this point? You are able to understand this shear, right? This is what we have drawn during the retaining wall part. Yes, thank you. So either it can sway as one or slide, or because of the sliding action, there might be shears which help crush the thing. Okay, I'll give you an example for the shear. how many of you have washed your handkerchief and brushed it with a hard brush? Have you ever had a handkerchief? Carried one with you? No one has ever done that, is it? So okay, try this experiment for me. Okay, Madhi with me. At least one child has washed her handkerchief. So when you keep on brushing along this diagonal angle, sometimes what happens, square becomes a kind of an extended diamond shape along the axis in which you have brushed the handkerchief. This gets elongated. This is actually shear. This is what it is, a shear. So the shear actually acts along that 45-degree and tend to extend the material. In this case, RCC. RCC is a very tougher one, so it's going to crack. If it is flexible like fabric, it will extend, but it is not, so it's going to crush. So this is what is going to happen when there is a high rise building. Because of the wind, these kind of failures might happen. And similarly, earthquake, building sways this way and that way. So this is what is going to happen. Just look at the picture B. See, wind might act like A. Earthquake might slide the building along the lateral directions. So that is failure B. What's the situation? Building acts in a very three different blocks. Imagine three different blocks are connected with two bridges. Something a seismic activity causes both lateral and vertical pressures. What we are going to do is we are going to place entire RCC walls. This is a normal frame structure. You never use in a normal frame structure, you will never use a full concrete wall as a designed RCC shear wall. RCC shear walls are totally different. Not just your any RCC wall cannot become a shear wall because it has to be done in such a way. All these beams should be tied to this. At every level, it should be tied this way, and all the columns are tied. There are particular ways in which all these things are tied, and these shear walls will never have any openings. Maximum is no openings. In a a very rare situation, you can ask your structural engineer to provide windows or door openings and things like that. But normally, this is one solid wall. But your normal external wall will have window openings, door openings, balconies, and things like that. But this is just a sheer solid, massive wall. Okay, the plan of this building, this is just shown like this. See, only these gray areas are sheer because this after designing, they have realized these many shear walls are required for this particular building. So these walls are done as shear walls. So a shear wall is a massive RCC wall which is tied to the nearby columns and which is actually tying this entire building in a particular way so that the building resists both seismic and wind load failure. Okay, failure due to wind and seismic activity. 1 minute, I wanted to show you the other picture where I actually put. Oh, did I delete this? These are the basic things. Okay, this is I took it from a structural paper. So it's for the same. This is what they have done as their research. Okay, they have taken a small rectangular one, about 1:2.5 the length, the ratio of the breadth and width of the rectangle, and where I can put the shear wall and how safe the building is under a constant set of wind and seismic activity. Okay, so they have found along the corners is the best, very best is this. Okay, you can have L-shaped corners, that is the best. And again, you can have, this is also very similar to this. This 1 and 2 are very similar, in which this L angle is cut as a very straight line and then it is moved to the center. And then again, because now architects, we don't want that, right? We always say, hey, what, why are you actually spoiling my facade. I wanted to create a fully glazed wall. Now we are giving fully concrete wall. I don't want that. So now they were actually working on other options. What can we do? Because the periphery is the where we actually put our lights and things like that, windows. So we don't want to spoil that. So we can actually move it inside also. But this gives only fair protection, not as good as this, but this is fair. Again, you might say I will put all my lift courts and staircase courts in the middle so that I have beautiful glazing on either side. So yes, this is also good. But this is fair, not as best as these two, but this is good. And these are all poor. If you're really you're very very you um, you're trying to save money on it. You don't want to put RCC walls. You're thinking why sheer walls. And if you're going to for the name's sake, if you just create these kind of half-hearted attempt at a sheer wall, it is not going to help you uh, during the emergency, like when it is high wind velocity or seismic activity, your building will crumble. So these are the better options. As architects, they have just tried different combinations. So I hope you understand all this. Um, so with this, I have ended unit 2. I'll give a very brief exercise. You can discuss, okay? We can continue this exercise in the next class also. I want you to start sketching and you guys can share and we will discuss this exercise. I don't want you to do it on your own and then submit. Okay, start sketching because I'm going to post this. You don't need not take this thing down, but you can just assume these. And this is an actual site at yeah, this is a site at E Road. We have done this for a shopping complex, very small one. Just where you see, the rows of shops like your Prince Plaza and things like that. So this hatch is the RR Random Rebel Masonry Foundation, and this entire purple color thing is the RCC wall. And these parts are the thing. So just carefully read the levels. Okay, ground level is at 0, 0, and this is at -6.5 level. Okay, so you need to draw a section. I have already drawn the section line. This is a ramp, so you can ignore the ramp for time being. Okay, just draw this section line, horizontal section line. I would like you to draw the horizontal section line, and just draw the section, sketch, in other words sketch. So you will use these assumptions and then sketch. So next class I'm going to spend time with each and every child. Each child which will show me what you have drawn. You don't have to really do screen sharing if it's very difficult. Just switch on your mobile camera and then show me just take me through what you have done. Okay, is that clear? So next class we are going to discuss, and that class after that to make all the corrections and then clear. Hi Deepak, Sleeping Beauty was kissed by someone, I think. He woke up from his sleep finally.